everybody, welcome back to Melanin Minds, a show where we are da 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 da. Ty, you want to finish for me? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, a show where we highlight amazing Black women in the comics and manga space. Welcome to
Thank
our
you.
podcast.
Thank you so much.
The Don't worry about it. It's fine. That's what we hear. Ow. I am Ty, better known on the internet as Black and Culture, and with me, my illustrious co-host, the creator of this podcast, is
Tashi. Yes, I am Tasha, the co-founder of Midnight Comics and creator of this podcast because I felt like it was needed. And we've had a lot of really great guests over the last year by the time this pops up. It'll have been a year since I started this podcast. That's crazy. Girl, that's crazy to think about right now. Wow. But the amazing conversations and guests just keep coming because today we have another awesome guest, and it's a funny story. And I think I told you yesterday. I came across this person randomly on YouTube. I was minding my business, scrolling through YouTube, and then a video popped up. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. What's this? And of course, if anyone, which I can't imagine there's too many people who haven't or seen her before, if anyone does know, the first thing I did, I clicked on the video and I heard story time. And I was like, oh, I'm already interested. What's this?
right.
Already hooked just off that one word alone. And talking, and then just like, oh, yeah. She starts talking about how she's got a comic. And I'm like, what? I like your vibe. I like your channel. I like the look of your book already, and I know nothing about it. Hey, I left a YouTube comment, and I don't leave YouTube comments. I said, hey, I have a podcast where we talk about Black women in comic books. Would you like to come on? And she was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah. And so I followed her on Instagram and messaged her there, and the rest is history. And this is the third registered nurse, this is the third person in the medical field that I've had on because she's a registered nurse by, even if she's at night, I'm just say by day because you know how superhero things,
Right.
being there by day. So she's nurse by day, storyteller by the rest of the day. Storytelling is her true and actual passion, and then she's got poetry books, novels, and of course now a comic book. And I don't know, I was just like really excited. I don't know why I was so excited, but I was like really excited. It was just this random find. I was like, this must be this got to be fate. So
You know what it is? It's the algorithm. That algorithm be algorithming,
the
and it
crazy
just
thing is, I don't watch comic stuff on my personal YouTube page.
see that's divine intervention. Drafted, put that thing on you.
Exactly. But yeah, Ashley Page is our amazing, illustrious guest, and hopefully this will do what I want it to do. So, Ashley Page, everybody. Hi.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you are here. This is, I don't know, like Ty said, divine intervention, because the fact that you just popped up on my algorithm is actually wild.
I love it. I love it. I love that entire thing. I felt like it was perfect. You are absolutely right. I'm taking that divine intervention and I'm running with it.
I'm like, happy for that. All right, so we'll jump right in, especially since y'all can't see the behind the scenes stuff, but we wasted a lot of time before we got to this point.
It's all kinds of plan.
We're having a time today. But I am very curious. I had two ideas, but actually, yeah, I'm gonna start with basic overall. How did you get like started just in writing in general? I want to hear your story.
Absolutely. I started writing when I was extra young. Like I was in elementary school and I remembered taking the construction paper, folding a bunch of them in half, stapling it at the part that they fold, and starting to write my story. And I'm like, this is going to be published. Y'all are going to be picking this up in the bookstore. And I just remembered one kid, you know how kids are. They're not, nobody's considerate as a kid. But they were like, no, stupid, no book looks like that in the bookstore. And Facts. They do not. No book looks like construction paper folded in half in the bookstore. So I feel like that was the point where I realized as a kid that I wanted to be a writer. So I did start writing a story that turned into Confident Sensuality. Started writing it in like middle school, grew up, revisited it when I actually became a nurse. And I got an editor, and she was brutally honest with me. And she was like, this is trash. We can't do anything with this. You need to go back to the drawing board. She's like, I can't write the story for you, but this is not publishable.
Mm.
Respect. And I think that my mistake was taking something that I wrote in middle school and taking it
Mm.
to an editor at the age like 25, not thinking that this needs to be revisited, reread, and it was trash. So I rewrote it, maintained the through story, which is the main story, and I developed a plot, and I gave my characters realistic personalities and applied realistic circumstances, because even though it's fiction, people still need something to relate to.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that was how I guess got into storytelling. I always knew I wanted to do it. I just was not aware or always aware of how to go about making it into something concrete and tactile, something that I can hold on to and call my own.
Wow.
The other question I really wanted to ask off the top is, how did your husband? Because I read that you said that your husband actually inspired you to write the comic. How did that happen?
Yes, it did. Oh my goodness. So we there's this guy that we both watch on YouTube. Well, he watched him significantly more than I did. Um, I was really only introduced to him through my husband, and it's this artist. His name is Eric July. He's got a bunch
Yeah.
of platforms, and we were just watching one of his videos one day, and my husband was like, "You do all these writing, like all of this writing, like why don't you write a comic book?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. What's wrong with you? Do I look like a comic book writer to you?" And I didn't think he was being serious about it at all. And then I looked into it, and I was like, this actually seems like a really effing dope project. Like,
Mm.
I also do art. Um, my husband does animation. We both are very creative. So I was like, I'm gonna just start. I'm gonna just start writing the story, and
Mhm.
you can take a look at it and we can see where it goes. And I ended up like starting it and finishing it in a couple months. I was like, this is stellar. I love this. This is a beautiful process. Fell in love with it. So once I finished that first one, I started trying to see if I could find artists. And I went on all these different platforms, Thumbtack. Um, I went on Facebook. I tried to join some groups to see if I can find artists. And everybody just started giving me all this advice about the lettering and the spacing. But I'm like, okay, are you an artist? Do you do this? Because I'm not. I am not doing this. I do not have the time. And they're like, no, no, no. That's just advice. Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. So then I went to Fiverr, and I found
Mhm.
this dope artist who is based out of Ghana, and we communicated at very odd times because obviously the time difference is drastic. So it would be at like 1 o'clock in the morning where I'd like turn in my sleep and look at my phone, and he'd message me and he'd say, hey, I don't think that this character features should be this similar to this other character's feature. It was a really nice communication and collaboration despite the time difference, the geographical difference. It just, the process had its frustrations, but I loved it.
Yeah, that finding an artist process is definitely the it's like,
It's
please help
frustrating.
me. It's frustrating
Yeah,
because our first artist was off of Fiverr as well, and
Mm.
exactly.
he
See,
lives in
that's
he
it.
actually lives in Thailand.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Because I definitely when I was growing up, I wanted to be a novelist as well. I really wanted to be, well, as a kid you want to be a lot of things, but I always took to writing. And I loved prose books. I was like, yeah, I want to write the next Spiderwick Chronicles, or Junie B. Jones books. Small dreams for a child. um, and you always think that those skills aren't transferable when you're writing prose. You never really think, oh, I could also write a script as well. So I think it's really cool that, one, I'm glad that your husband encouraged you to step outside of your comfort zone. And two, I'm really excited to hear that someone else took the chance and you went into did the plunge and tried out a new format. With all that being said, what was it like kind of taking and deconstructing prose writing and turning it into a script for something that was going to be drawn?
Um, with script writing, I learned very quickly, and I learned before I even started working on Namakasi. I have this podcast called Zyla, and I was trying to turn that into a script. And I was told very brutally honest that I have way too much detail. So, like,
Mm,
going from writing a novel and short stories on different platforms to writing a script where you're literally just focusing on the scenes and, certain specific directions, that was hard. Like, I just kept trying
mm,
to narrate, and I'm defeating the purpose. Like, if I have to narrate, then I'm not allowing the comic book scenes to tell the story. I'm not
Hmm.
allowing the depiction to do what it's supposed to do. And it was difficult for me to let go of that. It was tough.
mm. But of course, you definitely overcame and you released that first book. So congratulations to you. Um,
Very much
Thank
so.
you.
a
Sorry.
lot of people, I don't think a lot of people are aware of how difficult it is to write a comic book. It's easy and it's easy, but especially creatives, you can overcomplicate that process very quickly.
Very quickly.
Uh,
Very quickly.
and you don't even realize, so you have a whole paragraph worth of text, and it's just like that can't fit in a bubble. I have to
Or
summarize
until you're
this.
on like your fifth rewrite and you're like, maybe this should be the last one. I might be
Not
calling
the
myself out.
last one. No, no, you got to keep writing. You're
I mean, the
definitely
last
moving in this
rewrite, not the
space.
last book.
Oh, okay, okay. I was like, no, you can't do that. I won't allow you. um, so I don't know. Do you have any questions before we move on? Tashi? I don't wanna steal
Um,
your
you,
questions.
I thought you're not stealing them. I was going to say, technically, you did kind of actually ask one of the questions I had just now, so that's answered.
See, I stole it right out from under you. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna
It's
let
not,
you.
you didn't steal it. Great minds think alike.
You're right.
That's
You're
what it
right.
We're
You're
is.
both
right. You're right.
curious
Great
about the
minds.
same thing.
Great
Okay, you
minds.
Um,
got it. We're not sharing a brain cell. We're just transferring information.
See, there you
That's
go.
all it is.
Got
That's
you.
what it is.
Okay.
I would like to know how you keep authentic, blah blah blah, authentic representation in your stories.
So my family is made up of a number of different kinds of people. I, my father's side is Guyanese. My mother's side is Trinidadian with like a splash of Jamaican. And then we have on my father's side, we have Asian influences as well. It's just been it's been beautiful getting to know my family. Like even at the old age of 30, I feel like I feel like I'm still getting to know what my family is made up of. And it also, I don't know if this is going to make any sense at all, but I do feel that your influences growing up, the things that you see on a consistent basis, it directly correlates with the people you surround yourself by. And I feel that I
Mm,
find myself surrounded by people from the Republic of Congo, Swahili people, more Caribbean people, more people that have a robust culture filled background. And I feel that that makes it incredibly easy for me to get information directly from the source. You know,
Hmm.
I just feel like looking things up is hard because you don't know that you're getting true, authentic information. I would like to speak to a Congolese individual and ask them, what does this mean? What's the culture behind this? What's this tea? Why do you? I want to know from you. That's where you grew up, that's where you were raised. And so I've just essentially exhausted my real life resources and made the best of it.
God, I
Mm,
love that answer.
yeah.
Because I completely agree. It's one of the stories one of the reasons why we have a story that's based on indigenous culture and why we haven't moved forward with it, because we want an indigenous person to consult on it, like an
Hmm.
actual person, not the internet. Like,
Yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
100% on board with that answer. Ty, do you have a question? I'm gonna shoot it to you.
Yeah. I just actually want to get into the story itself. We've talked so much about the representation, your writing process, your story, but what did you create?
Oh, I'm extra excited about what I created because I feel like I also put pieces of myself in there. So, in a lot of my stories, I talk about my grandmother and my mother a lot, and both of them are Caribbean. They're from Trinidad and Tobago. And Caribbean people, you see reels on social media, you will always see somebody posting about a Caribbean parent saying that they don't want you to go somewhere because they had a dream.
Hmm.
That will really, it'll really get somebody's panties in a bunch. And so I'm saying all of that to say that Caribbean people do have their superstitions, they do have their
Mhm.
beliefs that they
Mhm.
hold to steadfast. And, to some degree, there was a part of me that was like, I don't know, I don't really want to hold tight to this. I don't want to, get too far away from reality. But then those superstitions and those like spiritual beliefs, I believe that they saved me in a lot of circumstances. And I've grown to trust those instincts and those feelings and those moments that not a lot of people know how to pinpoint. And I try to implement that into Namakasi with my main character's relationship with her mother. um, the story is essentially about this young woman who discovers her telepathic abilities in the middle of turmoil or
Mm.
distress or a traumatic situation. And from that, she has to learn how to not allow her emotions to make decisions for her because they'll be too loud. All she'll hear are her emotions. She won't hear instincts. She won't hear feelings. She won't be able to develop that sixth sense. And it was really fun and heartwarming, like writing that component. Because it's hard to capture, it's really hard to describe. But for whatever reason, it was a little easier to depict. I hope that makes sense.
No, that totally does.
Hmm.
Um,
I've actually never seen I've never seen anyone else's character that I thought was so great for a crossover with my own.
Yeah.
Because my character is a young Caribbean woman, because my I have Caribbean grandparents, and she is also doing a lot of struggling. But hers is fire powers. So I'm just like, huh, that's crazy. And your book has been sitting in my cart for the longest. I was just been waiting to get paid. Uh, so money, please hurry up, because I need to buy this book now. Thank you.
I love it.
um,
I love it.
I really enjoy your thought process. You're so thoughtful about not just like a lot of comic books. People a lot of when you pick up a book, you look at the art. You're very interested in the art, but I also just
Mhm.
love hearing the writing aspect of it. There's a lot
Mhm.
of story that goes into building out these characters, making their personalities really relatable. And I just love how thoughtful you are in not just the characters themselves, but the story and the plot. Because sometimes when people make on the indie side, when people make characters, heck, just the comic books in general, they tend to put, when they
Yeah.
say I put myself into this character, they mean they that's just them in the book. But I like how you actually separated yourself and you created a character that seems like they stand on their own. I'm very
Hmm.
excited to get an opportunity to check this book out myself as well. One more question from me before I pass it back over to Tashi. What would you say is one of the more difficult aspects of creating the story?
One of the more difficult aspects of creating a story that has so many different cultures is exactly what we talked about initially. Like making sure that you are not appropriating or misrepresenting or coming
Hmm.
across as extremely knowledgeable about something you don't know anything about.
Mm,
So I think that that ultimately led to, because she has a Congolese mother and a Japanese father, and I felt like I couldn't really pour as much into Japanese culture in this book as much as I wanted to, and I wanted to get more information. It's just because I don't know enough about it. And
Hmm.
I felt that that was the most difficult part. But I also told myself this is the very beginning of a much bigger story. And I still have time to learn. Like we've already planned a trip to Japan. I have interviewed two of my Japanese coworkers who are so very kind and open minded and just presented me with all of this information. And it's exactly what you were saying, Tashi. It's really just wanting to be more confident about information before I try to implement it into, even though it's fiction, it's still
Hmm.
not gonna feel right, like it just,
Right.
but
Um,
Where we left
that's
off.
really the most difficult part, just
Yeah.
making sure that the culture is conveyed properly.
yes. Um, Tossing it back over to you, Tosh. You have some more questions?
I actually was going to ask a follow-up question to that question. And as long as it's not spoilers, I'm curious how the main character deals with her Japanese heritage in that case. Like, is it a thing where she's just as ignorant as, say, you are in the moment and she'll learn, or is the character herself actually well versed in her Japanese side?
So in this book, I am trying to get people more acclimated with her relationship with her mother because that is incredibly important for the progression of the story.
Hmm.
But both of her parents, um, I'm trying not to implement too many spoilers, but both of her parents are still a large part of her life. It's
Hmm.
just, I didn't want the story to drag, like I didn't want it
Hmm.
to be so informationally robust that it lacked an actual storyline. Like I didn't want it to come
Mm,
across as like a pamphlet. I wanted it to be a story. So I'm kind of approaching it as like in increments. There were snippets of Japanese culture, like subtly. Like I remembered one of my coworkers saying that in Japanese culture, like they do their best to do what they're supposed to do. So if anything starts to go wrong or if anything is off, it's almost like they immediately start to assess who's out of line, like who could have caused this disruption. And then there
Hmm.
was a part of the story where that component of the culture was implemented, but I don't want to say it wasn't built upon,
It was more
it just
subtle.
alluded to more.
Okay.
okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very
I like that.
interesting.
All right. And so as you learn, we may see more from her, but she already knows. She's grown up like that. And so I don't know. I think that's a really nice way of putting it in there while you're still learning, where it's subtle, but it's there. So it's not like that side is being completely ignored or she's ignorant to it. So no, I like that. That's really cool. What is the kind of message you want to convey to the readers of this book?
So, there's a part of the book that I am super proud of, and I don't want to say anything, but the message I believe is okay. So, what I'll do is I'll say this. I was recently interviewed for this magazine, and they asked me what my weak point is. And it's that
Mhm.
I go headfirst into projects. And the problem is that I want to see this project come to life so bad that I tend to
Mhm.
neglect the important parts, which is the time, the effort, the research that goes into making it a good project. And so
Mhm.
rushing through all the steps that are not supposed to be rushed ultimately just ends up kicking me back multiple steps because I'm being driven by not logic, but like the excitement, and I lose respect for the process. That is something that I've had to learn the hard way. I cannot keep doing that.
Mhm.
It has hurt
Gotcha.
me in more ways than one. And I've had to learn like you need to slow down, Ashley. This is not going to happen before it's supposed to happen. And you moving faster is ultimately slowing you down. And that is the message that I am trying to convey in Namakasi. That there's certain things, it doesn't matter if the world is falling apart around you.
Mhm.
You are not going to succeed. You are not going to conquer anything approaching it head first.
And that was the Canvas Rebel interview, right?
Yes.
I
Thank you.
I
Okay.
would tell you I research all of my guests
Yes,
as
indeed.
thoroughly as I can, as thoroughly as I possibly can.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
And I actually really like the backdrop story of
Mm.
um come on, brain, don't short circuit on me, you've got this.
You got
um I like this idea of respecting the process,
it.
um and slowing down and taking time. I think that I don't necessarily personally, I don't have the issue of like rushing into projects, but I have the issue of, man, I can't start a project because I have to do it the right way. But I feel like in both senses, respecting the process of getting better, respecting the process of making mistakes, of getting in there and doing a great job, getting in there and doing a bad job, and then having to reevaluate, maybe doing a so-so job and realizing, okay, I have a lot to go.
Mhm.
So much of like life is like, I just got to get to it, and it's like, no, you're like, you really should truly respect the process. And comic books is
Easy.
such a cool medium because all it is the process. You can't do
That's exactly.
Mhm.
any part of the process out of order. You can't make the art before you write your script, and you can't
Mhm.
promote a book that doesn't exist. You can make all the characters you want, but if you don't have character
Make
art,
all
you
them
have nothing.
pinups,
You can make all the pinups,
but if they
but
ain't got no story.
if it has no story, if the characters have no substance, then you have a book with nothing. It's
Mhm.
Yes, I absolutely love this idea that's within the book. So, and at that
Yes.
point, it's a very complex story in itself. It's a story about respecting the
Mhm.
process, and the process of making comics itself is
It's
respecting the
yeah.
process.
And
It's
even to elaborate on that, you can't write the story and you haven't figured out your characters yet, because then you're reading
mhm,
a book and it's just like I don't know what I'm reading here.
I don't know what this is.
And unfortunately,
right,
a lot of people have definitely rushed into that. They're like, yeah, I have a cool character concept idea and I'm going to write this story, but you haven't really fleshed out your character much. You don't really know much about them. you just
Nope.
right,
you just know they do a cool thing and you want to show that cool thing off.
exactly. So I think that that's brilliant. And then on top of that, just I've actually like, I just really enjoy a good concept for a book, and that
Same.
is such a quality concept as well. um I don't want to, I'm actually, no, because I ask questions and it always gives me spoilers. I don't want no spoilers. I just won't ask the question because I don't want to be spoiled, but I will ask, because I asked you what was one of the more difficult parts of the process. And you've talked about a lot of your favorite parts, but what would you say
Mhm.
was probably the most rewarding aspect of this comic book process?
Um, the most rewarding part was getting the books in my
Mm,
hand,
Mhm.
like when they arrived. Um, and I opened it up and I was like, this is it. We have done it.
mm,
We have done it. It was time for me to start shipping, and I was like, we need to make this look good. And when I started packaging them up, I was like, I want to keep these. This is my baby. This is my child. It was it was just a beautiful feeling getting them and seeing that I did this. This is mine, and somebody else is going to read it, and it's going to resonate with them in the most beautiful way.
Uh, yep. Getting the book does make it real. It makes it
Yeah.
all the
Very
stress,
real.
all the pain. Now it's tangible.
It
You
was worth
can't
it.
go back. Oh yeah.
And always, you gotta always keep one. You gotta always keep one copy for yourself, though.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. You got to,
Yes.
and you got to display it. Um, I think those are my questions. Tashi,
Okay.
I will toss it back to you. What questions do you have?
Okay. I was gonna say, do you have any more? Because I'm about to
Oh
go
no, I'm good. I asked all the juice I could possibly get. I got it.
out. Okay. I'm gonna go in a different direction than usual, and I want to know if there's any other character that might have inspired you at any point in time.
Any other character that might have inspired me? Um, I don't know that there was any character as much as I feel that there was a show, but that's
Okay.
not true. My absolute most favorite anime, and some people don't consider this an anime, some people just consider it a cartoon. I think it's an anime. Avatar.
Okay. I was gonna say, is it
Mm,
Avatar? I
yeah.
feel like it's Avatar because
Yes.
that discussion happens a lot.
Yes.
It's anime.
I That's just one of those timeless shows that can be
Hmm.
on, and I've seen it multiple times, but I will still stop what I'm doing to sit and watch like it's my first time being shook about what
Mm,
is taking place on the screen.
Hmm.
I loved the character arches in that show.
it's phenomenal.
Hmm.
I found them to be so well thought out, so thorough, and I aspire to have character arches similar to or as thought out, as thorough
Hmm.
as those. Because I don't know, like it's really hard to go from rooting against one character to rooting for them, and that show really allowed that. I don't know that that's the direction I'm going in per se,
Hmm.
like turning a bad guy into a good guy, but I am going into like making sure that my audience is able to see the progression and the growth of my characters.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely a goal. Definitely, and yeah, I will always be on the anime side of is Avatar an anime? Yes, yes it is. You
Yes, it
don't
is.
see that. You don't see the
I
animation. Is it
um
Japanese anime? No, but the anime isn't just in Japan because Chinese
I
anime exists, Korean anime exists.
I always tell people anime came from the American word animation.
Yep,
It's
it's
all
literally what it
anime.
means.
Anything
Like
that is
manga
animated
means
is
comic.
animation. Yep. It's all the same. Anime is animation, anime, comic books is manga. It's all the same thing. It's just who's making it.
Who's making
Right.
it? That's it.
So if you want to call it anime,
It
it's
really
anime to me.
really has more to do with style over
Yeah,
anything,
Yeah,
you're
really.
right. Yeah, because
definitely.
you know how
But
TikTok is
oh, go
doing
ahead. I'm
those.
sorry.
Oh no, no, I'm sorry. Were you saying something? My bad.
No, no, no. Please take have the floor.
I was just gonna mention TikTok doing those like different
The
filters or
filter
like
things.
CapCut or something. I don't remember what it was,
Hmm.
where you could like put yourself in an anime, you put yourself in a Disney character, put yourself a
Hmm.
cartoon or Marvel.
Hmm.
You look so incredibly different with each filter, and it's exactly what you said, Tashi. It's all style that really allows the differentiation in the name. It's really interesting.
It is.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, Ty.
Oh no, you're fine. You're okay. I
Oh, I
don't.
was
I don't.
talking about you know
Oh, oh
TikTok.
no, you're good. You're good. We're all vibing. It's all good. Hey, it's fine. I'm not crying. I didn't love that app.
But
I
there's
didn't have
onions.
10,000 followers on the app.
Oh no.
It's whatever. I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I mean, I did, but I just thought I had more time. I don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen to the app. I'm crashing out.
No.
We don't
Okay, you
know.
heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Ty is crashing
Crashing
out
out.
on the show.
Crashing out because we don't
We are
know.
here
We
with
don't know
warm
what's gonna
tea and
happen.
blankets
I'm
and
still
soup.
holding out hope until Sunday. You know. I don't really believe anything's gonna happen, but I'm crashing out. See, why'd you
Sure.
bring it up? I was just gonna
Kyle, make that woman some cookies. Make her some cookies.
it's
She
just
needs
so messed
cookies.
up. 5 years. Okay, but yes, I totally agree. It is really cool to see the different styles of like the filters that they have. Um, but also also how much art borrows from itself because Avatar is clearly inspired by anime, and there's tons of anime that are clearly inspired by Western animation as well. So it's
Right.
all that's why I said everything is anime, is cartoons, everything is manga, is
Hmm.
comics. It's all about, definitely if you say anime, I'm thinking of a specific style. But if
Right.
someone said anime and they showed Transformers, I also wouldn't be like,
What?
okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying animation, it's no
I might
problem.
look at you a little weird, but be like, hey, I'm not gonna argue with you.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
We're not going to turn
Especially
this
depending
into
on
an
which
argument.
Transformers. Oh,
um, yeah, this is the floor is
okay.
yours, Tosh.
I
I
still
told
have it a
you're
moment.
good.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm out of tea. Jesus Christ, I needed that.
No, Jesus.
At least it's not like tequila. It's just tea.
It's
It's
just tea.
herbal
Poor
tea
thing.
to
I'm
help
so
keep
sorry.
my stomach because it's not doing so.
Oh.
All right. Bring it back down.
You've got
Okay.
this.
You have anything else? I think I'm
Uh,
gonna wrap it up in a
No,
second.
I think you look a little tired, and it's time for you to wrap it up. So you can go ahead. You can put the bow on this present. We're good.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get to the Women's History Fact of the Month. Shakita Smith, which I'm surprised I haven't used her yet, which also I need to reach back out because I am trying to get her on here. For those who don't know, Shakita Smith is the author of the graphic novel Raven Choi, which I do have, as issue 2 just dropped like a few months ago.
Ooh.
And I had money at the time. And when I have money, I get things that
Mm.
I like. Uh, but she is it's the first black standalone superhero graphic novel, which is about an African American girl who's orphaned and sent to South Korea. And
Ooh.
it's actually quite good. Um, she's done a lot of things. She also, I think last year, was working on what is it called? I can't think of what it's called, but she was kind of working on like a movie just talking about like black women in comics. So that was also like really interesting.
I
And I
love
think
that.
they had like a dinner up in New York and Barbara was there and I need to message her.
Oh, nice.
But so that was really cool. So I have reached out to her before. I need to reach back out again now that the holidays are over and life isn't being weird. But that is our Black Women in Comics fact of the episode. And I am going to give the floor over for you guys to give all your information, starting with you, Ashley, our illustrious guest, to tell people where they can find you and your book. The book, guys, buy the book. Thank you.
Hmm.
That's all I had to say.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I have two main Instagrams, the soul of my pen, and which is where I tell all of my stories. And then your sun, my moon, our stars. And then on TikTok, I am the beholder of beauty. We'll see what ends up happening with TikTok. And you can find my book. It's available on Amazon. It's Namakasi, and Namakasi is Congolese for with strength. Um, so you can find it on Amazon, but you could also go to my website, www.dirtywordsmith.com. And I'm on YouTube, Ashley Page Storytime.
And can I just say, if buy it off our website, please. Amazon be taking
Hmm.
too much money from people. Please
They
get it off
do.
the website.
Yeah.
Please.
They,
Ty, you're up.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ty. Make content about comics, manga, animation, and fandom all over the internet because I'm your nerd no otaku culture expert. You can find me everywhere at Black and Culture. That's BLAQUE, the letter N, KULTURE. And of course, I want to Re-emphasize, please purchase Namakasi off of www.dirtywordsmith.com. You can go to our products page and it will be there in digital format as well as physical.
Yep. And of course, I am your host, Tashi. I'm the co founder of Midnight Comics. You can find all our stuff at midnightcomics.org. You can find us on social media at Midnight X Comics everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube, where we are just Midnight Comics. Oh, and apparently also on what's that website? Fan
Fan base?
Yeah, that. Yeah. We just made a fan base today. Or Lloyd made it. So we'll see how that goes. But also on fan base at Midnight Comics. And of course you can find me everywhere at official_Tashi J, except for Facebook and YouTube, where it's just Tashi J89. And if you're looking for comic stuff, look at the Midnight Comic stuff. If you're looking for Broadway content, then you can go look for my stuff. Other than that, I would just like to say to remember that a small spark can create a big flame, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.